I'm here today at the 16th Annual Life Science Innovation Northwest Life Science Conference, hosted by Life Science Washington Association Trade Group for the state of Washington. I'm honored to be here today with Dr. Stephen Gillis, who was just inducted as an inaugural member of the Washington State Life Science Hall of Fame. Steve, welcome and great to see you, and congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Chris. I appreciate it.
So can you just give me a little high-level recap of your background, your career, and maybe what's some of the things you did to become a Hall of Fame member?
Yeah, well, so I'm an immunologist by training, and I was recruited here to Seattle to the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center when it first started. And I was in academic medicine, ran a laboratory, had graduate students, postdocs. And in the late 70s, early 80s, pharmaceutical companies started knocking on the door, asking to support what was going on in the lab in exchange for commercial rights to anything that we might invent. And for a variety of reasons, including leadership changes at the center and the politics of science at that point in time, we could never really get a transaction done with the pharmaceutical companies. And an attorney who we had found to help us out along the way suggested that we leave and start a company. And this was really the early days of biotechnology. And eventually, Chris Henney and I, another immunologist at the Hutch, left and started a biotech company here in Seattle called Immunex. And as they say, kind of the rest was history.
So what was it like in the early days of biotech, venturing out away from academia, which I'm assuming you really didn't come out of the business or industry side of the world, to start a company? It had to be scary.
Yeah, you know, naivete is a wonderful thing. And we didn't really look backwards. We didn't even know what we didn't know. So there was nothing to really be scared about. We were still trying to build a very competitive, scientific-based lab-centric organization to answer what we thought were pivotal questions in immunology. And the fact that we were doing inside a company versus inside an academic institution really didn't matter.
One of the world's leading drugs for rheumatoid arthritis came out of those labs, right?
It did. A drug called Enbrel, which is really the reason Immunex wound up being acquired by Amgen. Very successful product, has changed the lives of millions of patients.
That had to be a good feeling, to know you were impacting millions of people around the world.
It's the best feeling possible, it really is.
So from Immunex, you started another company called Corixa. Tell me a little about that transition, what made you go into that direction, and what was the basis of the science?
Yeah, so I had been at Immunex as a founder and was there for 14 years running the science of the company, and stayed on the board for quite a period of time afterward. And I needed a new challenge, and there was some technology here in Seattle with some friends of mine in the vaccine and antibody space. And so we started a new company, Corixa, which was named after a fishing fly, and tried to develop products of significance in the vaccine and antibody world.
Fantastic. And so Corixa was acquired in 2005. You went into the venture world.
I did. I traded in my white hat for a dark hat. And, honestly, after running public companies for 25 years, I needed an opportunity to recharge my batteries. And when you're running a public company, your eyes are down, you're focused on your work. There could be great things going on in the scientific community around them. You don't have a clue. And one of the benefits of being on the investor side is that I actually now have time to see and delve into lots of developments, that otherwise would just escape me.
How many companies are you personally involved with now?
Just over a dozen. And Arch is a throwback venture capital organization. We believe that science still counts, and from the best science comes the best products. It may take a longer period of time, and it may be very expensive, but it's worth the wait.
So if you could reverse the clock and you know what you know now, but you could give advice to a startup entrepreneur that's thinking about starting the next Immunex, what would you recommend to them?
I'd tell them to be myopically focused on doing something that's good for patients. Make sure that they're following a solution that meets an unmet medical need. that there's no job that they can do that is at a company that's beneath them. They have to roll up their sleeves, and if they have to make coffee and park cars, that's in their job description. And if they're successful, if they're lucky enough to bring a product to market that does something good for patients, all of the things that will aggravate them as they're on that challenging path will go away.
So you were a part of the inaugural class of Washington's Life Science Hall of Fame inductees. What does that mean to you, and what are some of your thoughts maybe about some of your colleagues in the class?
You know, it's a great honor, you know, to share the podium with Lee Hood and you know, with Don Thomas. You know, I knew Don when I was at the Hutchinson Cancer Center, and so you know, it's a wonderful feeling. Part of it makes you feel a little old, you know, to be honest, and I'll rebel against that and just tell you I'm not done yet.
But I got to tell you personally, it was extremely well deserved.
Oh,
having
thanks.
known you for many, many years, you were it was really well bestowed, and really proud of you. Proud of that I know you. So maybe just one last question is, if you were, where do you see the future of biotechnology? The world is changing. It's very costly. The capital's harder to get. But where do you see biotechnology in 5 to 10 years?
You know, I think the future's still relatively bright, and I say that probably irrespective of the competition. It is so much harder to start a successful company today, simply because there are so many other successful companies already out there. But the one thing that I think keeps the field alive is that is the pace of innovation, and the fact that the larger companies, the big pharmas, the big biotechs, they realize that they cannot innovate at the same rate of speed and quality that smaller, leaner organizations can get the job done. And therefore, they've all capitulated, and they all have admitted that they're going to buy their innovation in the future, and they're going to buy it from young biotechnology companies.
Well, Steve, again, congratulations. It's been an honor, a pleasure. It's wonderful to see you as always.
Great to see you,
Have a great
Chris.
rest of the day.
Thanks a lot.
So it's Chris Rivera from Life Science Innovation Northwest. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.